Hello and welcome to Health Matters on Channels Television. Thank you for joining us. I am Mary Alale Yusuf. Chronic kidney disease is a disease characterized by progressive damage and loss of function of the kidneys. A multinational study surveying the burden of kidney disease shows that approximately 850 million people live with chronic kidney disease or CKD worldwide. The death rate in CKD has increased by 42% in 17 years. That's according to the International Society of Nephrology, which tells us that people of every age and race are affected, but those from disadvantaged populations are at higher risk. CKD was the 12th most common cause of death in 2017 and is estimated to become the 5th most common cause by 2040. My guest is double board certified in internal medicine and nephrology. Dr. Olabisi Jagun is in our Lagos studios. She's also an emergency doctor. You're welcome to the show.
Thank you very much for having me.
I think we should start by detailing, saying what is the job of the kidney. People should know so that they can know the importance of the kidneys to them.
Wonderful. Kidneys are very, very important organs in our body. We have 2 of them, and they receive 20% of the blood flow from the heart. And the main function of the kidney is that they filter out of our blood everything that will harm us. All the toxins, all the waste products of everything we eat, everything we drink, everything that gets into our system. The kidneys filter everything out, return the good blood back to us, and send the rest of the toxins as urine. The kidneys are also what we call hormonal organs. They produce hormones that increase the red blood cells in our blood. The red blood cells is what, when you lack red blood cells or they're low, they say you are anemic. The kidneys are also very wonderful. They regulate the amount of water in our system, so we don't retain too much water that will be harmful to us. The kidneys also regulate minerals in our system and electrolytes, essential things like sodium, which is part of salt, and potassium, calcium, which is part of bone, and phosphorus. You know, these are vital elements, and the kidneys are so important. They regulate all of this. And another important thing the kidneys do, they regulate blood pressure.
Oh, wow, that's a lot.
That's a lot. And that's why we must do everything to preserve the function of our kidneys.
So what causes chronic kidney disease?
Very good. In the United States, diabetes mellitus has surpassed hypertension as the leading cause of chronic kidney disease. I understand that in Nigeria,
we would take hypertension.
The number 1 is hypertension.
So much here.
Exactly. Number 1 cause is hypertension, and diabetes only accounts for about 5 to 10% for the cause of kidney disease in Nigeria. So the chunk of the cause of kidney disease is between those 2 diseases, diabetes, hypertension.
Is that because they overload the kidneys, they overburden the kidneys, or they damage something?
Yes, diabetes that is uncontrolled and blood pressure that is uncontrolled actually do direct damage to the kidneys. We have a condition called hypertensive nephrosclerosis, where over a prolonged period of time, when blood pressure is not controlled, it slowly continues to damage the kidney until the kidney fails. Diabetes is the same. Diabetes damages the blood vessels, the small blood vessels, whether it's in the heart, whether it's on the nerves, anywhere, and especially on the kidneys. So we have a separate entity that we call diabetic nephropathy, the effect of uncontrolled diabetes on the kidneys. We have other causes of chronic kidney disease, but honest to goodness, they amount to very small percentage.
So
the main
diabetes and high blood pressure. Wow. Are there risk factors for kidney disease? Like, say, maybe being black, is it a factor?
Well, being black, yes, from the point of view of the fact that hypertension is also, higher age factor, when you factor in age per age with black and Caucasian. We also inherit, if your family has, direct family members have chronic kidney disease, there's a likelihood that if we don't take care, we may get that chronic kidney disease. They also inherited kidney diseases like polycystic kidney disease, and sometimes even from the diabetes. That also runs in the family.
Okay.
So, yes. So,
that is a lot. That's very dangerous.
Yes.
There's a lot, even though it's not the major cause, but there is a lot of diabetes in Nigeria.
There's a lot of diabetes.
Then high blood pressure is like...
High blood pressure has become, worldwide, high blood pressure has become an epidemic in our world. That's because we're fatter as a world, and the blood pressure is higher. Our diets have changed from plant-based to processed food.
So being big is a factor too?
Being big is unfortunately a factor, yes, yes.
All right. Let's just go right down to it. In preventing CKD, what can the individual do?
First of all, if you have if your families have any of the risk factors we've mentioned, the sooner you check up with, some kind of, go to a health center, make sure they check your blood pressure, check your blood sugar. The earlier you know, then you have time to do something about it.
Are there early symptoms? Are there symptoms?
Chronic kidney disease usually doesn't show any symptoms until it's at an advanced stage. So
all that bad stuff is sitting there in the body, the kidney cannot take it out, and the person doesn't know?
If you don't get a screening, if you don't check up your blood pressure, you will not know until when the 5 stages of chronic kidney disease, stage 1, when your filtration rate is 90%, to grade 4, which is 15%.
Oh, wow.
The 5 is below 15% when you're going to need help with the kidneys. The kidneys have failed at that time.
What kind of help does someone get?
When the kidneys fail, the only help that you can get is what they call kidney replacement therapy, which consists of 2 things: dialysis and transplantation, organ donation, kidney transplantation.
And dialysis is so expensive.
Dialysis is so expensive.
Is there anything the government can do that you'd recommend to help reduce the burden of kidney disease?
Absolutely. In terms of the government, the approach will be where primary health care coverage, where the average person at least can get some kind of an early screening, like a yearly screening.
Okay, so these screenings are not routine right now?
No. I've encountered people in Nigeria who come to my free medical clinics that I run every year and tell me that they've never had a checkup because they're afraid that when they present themselves at a health center, they're going to ask them for money, and they don't have money. So if they can make these early screenings like free of charge, just to do the blood pressure. If there's history of diabetes, just check the blood sugar. If you have all of that, if there's any even hint that there may be chronic kidney disease, they will check the urine. The simple blood test will tell you what stage.
Okay, so finding out if there's chronic kidney disease does not go beyond blood test, urine test.
It does not.
And blood pressure test.
Just screening.
Those are simple.
Simple. The government can help with that. Because how we present it to the government is that if you do not help with that, where we can manage it, when the patient's kidney fails, it is very expensive. Kidney replacement therapy is very expensive, like dialysis. Nobody can afford it. In the US, people used to get bankrupt and die. Or some people just die because they don't even have the funds to start, until by act of Congress in 1972, kidney replacement therapy became free.
Okay.
They made it free. If your kidneys fail, we'll put you on dialysis for free. Or if you get a transplant, the cost of transplantation is on us.
What quality of life does a person who has to go for dialysis have?
Very poor quality of life. Very poor quality of life. Some people even say that after they receive the dialysis treatment, they feel worse than before they went to the treatment. It's a poor quality of life, and as much as possible, as soon as we know that patients have some mild kidney damage, we need to make sure that we control every factor to slow down the progression so they don't get to kidney failure.
Can any kidney damage be reversed?
Yes. So I told you there were 5 stages. Up to stage 3. So the first stage is 90 to 100% function. Your kidneys are okay. You don't have any symptoms. Second stage is even up to 60%. You still have 60% function. And you may have occasional mild symptoms. But if we control your blood pressure, we control your sugar, or whatever is causing the kidney problem, we make sure that it does not progress to the third stage, which is 30%.
And that can still be reversed?
By the third stage, you can still reverse it up if you do everything right, control your blood pressure, have frequent checkups.
And these 3 stages are stages where there are no symptoms?
Mostly no symptoms.
Wow.
You don't want to get to stage 4, however, because stage 4 is almost irreversible. That's where your kidney function is only 15%. The inevitable thing is you're going to go on to end-stage kidney disease, which is stage 5.
It's Health Matters on Channels Television, and we're speaking with Dr. Olabisi Jagun on preventing chronic kidney disease. If you have questions on the topic, call 0808-054-2233, or you can send a message on X at CTV_Mary A while we continue with the discussion. I understand that getting a kidney transplant is very difficult. First of all, you have to get a match, you have to cross-match, all sorts of blood work and all that. Just tell us a bit more about that.
Kidney transplant is the cheapest and best renal replacement therapy we have. And there are 2 different forms of it. There's a deceased donor kidney, and there's also what they used to call a living related. Sometimes it's a friend.
Okay.
But it's a living person that donates their kidney.
So even a friend can donate?
Even a friend can donate.
But you have to do tests. You have to make sure it matches the person?
Not only that they have to do the tests on both the donor and the recipient, they have to test the blood, they have to test the kidney, make sure there's no infections, there's no immunity that can lead to rejection from the recipient. They also have to do psychological testing to make sure that the person who is donating is not coerced into doing that.
Now, the reason we are talking about prevention today,
yes,
but I'm bringing this up because we are hearing so much about organ harvesters. How does somebody harvest someone else's kidney on the sly and be able to get it up to, the standard?
They don't get it up to standard, unfortunately. It's illegal because it bypasses all the regulations about organ donation of any kind. And also they bypass all the testing.
Which means you could just donate a kidney to someone and kill the person in the process.
And they kill the person in the
kidney.
process with the kidney.
And there's danger
and the
to
other
the person who
has
donated.
already lost a kidney.
And probably will die of infection.
Yes, it's a lose-lose situation. It has to be tightly regulated. At least in the United States, where I practice, organ donation is very, very stringently regulated. They make sure that harvesting is not from a minor. You have to be above 18 and able to consent by yourself without a parent or somebody else giving the okay for somebody to take your kidney away from you. Then I told you about all of this rigorous testing, psychological, immunological. They test the blood, the recipient, the kidney,
and the donor.
And the donor. They make sure the donor, who is left with a remaining lone kidney, does not have either hypertension or diabetes or any other kind of medical problem that could lead that person to lose that lone kidney, just because they now donated the second kidney to somebody else.
So people have to know, if they're donating a kidney on the sly, that it's a very dangerous situation.
It's extremely dangerous.
And could end up killing not one, but two people.
It can end up killing
both
not one, but two people.
And recipient.
And recipient, unfortunately.
Because we're having too many of those stories now. And I kept wondering, if they're doing this on the sly, how do they do the tests?
They're not doing any testing. They're performing these operations in back room, alleyways that the government doesn't know about. And It's extremely unfortunate, because we're losing lives through these backdoor kidney harvesting operations.
You've done a lot of work in medical missions in underserved places. Yeah. What would you say is the biggest challenge to kidney health in those places?
Access to any kind of health care, to at least get a basic screening.
Okay.
I think that's the main thing. Just people accessing the health care.
So how is it done? Like, let's leave the underserved places. Like a place in Lagos now. You just go to a hospital and tell them you want a kidney screening, or you tell them you want a medical screening?
So there are guidelines for any age group. I think at least between 18 and 25, somebody should at least have had their blood pressures done.
I think that one is pretty basic here now.
Basic. Definitely if you're middle age, which kidney disease, chronic kidney disease in Nigeria apparently is more prevalent in the 30 to 59 age group.
Oh.
So at least have a baseline. In that age group, you have to have at least a baseline. Whether you go to the clinic or the local health center, you have to have a baseline. Make sure you don't have hypertension. Make sure you don't have diabetes or anything. And especially if you started having any kind of symptoms. Oh, I just don't feel good. Or I don't have any appetite. I'm always tired. My skin is itchy. My skin is discolored.
Itchy skin.
Itchy skin, discolored skin. And then you notice your urine may be foamy. Urine should be clear yellow.
But then these are
later
symptoms,
later
right?
symptoms. And you don't want to wait till then anyway. Anyway. So there are guidelines for any age group, the basic things you have to have first. Whether you're sick or you're healthy, you should have at least some baseline to say, I just got a clean bill of health from my doctor. They say my blood pressure is fine, or my sugar is fine.
Okay, so let me ask you again. If you have these basic tests, and your blood pressure is fine, your sugar is fine, can you say you don't have any sort of kidney disease? Or are there other tests that should be done? Any other indicators? So
it's the blood pressure and the blood sugar check. And if you're symptomatic, that will lead them to now say
further investigation.
Further investigation.
Okay.
But if you don't have any complaints, you know, and the guideline just says, oh, I'm 30 years of age. I should have my blood pressure checked, and I should know, you know, about sugar. But it's different if you already have a family history.
Oh, okay.
You may even want to start at a younger age to know where you are. So if you have a very strong family history of hypertension, diabetes, or especially if you have a family history of kidney disease, then the sooner you check, the better.
The better. Let's quickly take this call from Eze. Hello, Eze.
Yeah, good afternoon, madam.
Good afternoon, Eze. What's your question?
I'm watching the listen. About 47 now, and for over 6 months now, my blood pressure has go less than 148, 145 over 90. So please, what advice are you going to give me?
Okay, thank you very much, Eze. Eze is saying blood pressure, he's about 47, blood pressure 148 over 90. What's your advice?
Okay, I'll tell Eze that blood pressure of 147 over 90 is hypertension.
Wow.
Hypertension is a silent killer. He may not have any symptoms, but that's hypertension.
And that could lead to other things.
And that could lead to other things. So he needs to consult his doctor. I hope somebody tells him that, you know, that he has hypertension and puts him on medication to control that blood pressure. And I'll tell Eze to go low on salt. Salt makes the blood pressure higher, worse. And don't forget that Maggi cube, or those things that we use to seasonings, are laden with salt.
They have a lot of salt.
They have a lot of salt. So that's another thing that I'll tell him to stay away from. And please, Eze, I hope you don't smoke.
Or drink too much.
Yes, or drink too much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Jago. We're out of time. That was so educative and so simple to understand.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for being there and listening. Thank you, Eze, for your call. Have a great day. I am Mary Alala Yusuf.